So now we're going to talk about how we treat wastewater. So wastewater is sewage, okay? So we're going to start with the sewage coming in, and that's my influent, is sewage from people's homes. So the sewage is the influent, it flows in. The very first thing you're gonna have again is bar screens. Bar screens are protecting the plant from sticks and other things that may have come in. Then the first step is gonna be settling. In wastewater treatment plant, they have a couple different phrases, and settling is also called primary treatment. The purpose of primary treatment, sometimes they'll say first degree for primary treatment, is to remove the TSS and oils and greases. Because oil and grease will rise to the top, the TSS settles to the bottom, so they can pull that out. Oil and grease will come here on the top. They can skim that off, and so that's the primary treatment that happens. Primary treatment removes TSS. Then it goes to secondary treatment. Secondary treatment actually has 2 steps in it. The first step is an aeration tank. The purpose so these together are called secondary treatment. Secondary treatment is removal of the BOD, or the dissolved organics. And so what happens is they use aerobic bacteria to do aerobic respiration to eat the BOD and convert it into CO2 and lots of baby bacteria. So what happens is the aerobic bacteria do aerobic respiration, and basically I get the BOD goes into CO2 and the CO2 comes out. To make sure I can do enough respiration, this is called aeration because they bubble lots of oxygen in here. It's really, really bubbly, and that way the oxygen doesn't limit the aerobic respiration. Then the second stage of it is it flows in here and you settle out. This is a bunch of the bacteria. Some of this bacteria gets sent back, so I have bacteria to continue, but a lot of this is my sludge from secondary treatment, and we'll talk about that in a second. This, or aeration and then settling out the bacteria, is secondary treatment to remove the BOD. Then I can discharge it, but there are optional treatment. Optional, or sometimes called tertiary, meaning third, would be to remove nitrate or phosphate. Again, very expensive, so rarely done. So remove nitrate, remove phosphate. They may also kill bacteria, so chlorination or UV radiation or ozonation, depending if people might come in contact with it. Again, the bacteria isn't bad in natural waterways, but if humans are going to be swimming in it or in contact, they could get sick from it. They may also sometimes adjust the pH, depends on their permit. So these are all the optional, or also called tertiary treatment. Again, depends on what their permit requires. And then when it's done here, it flows out to the, it flows out here. So I'm gonna kind of go, flows out to the effluent. And so this would flow out into a lake or a river. Could go back into groundwater or something, but typically it goes into surface water is where it's discharged to. Now, last thing I want to talk about is what they do with the sludge. So the sludge from primary treatment here is basically a bunch of grit and grease that just gets put in a landfill. Not really good for much of anything. The sludge from secondary treatment, though, is a bunch of dead bacteria. Bacteria, they're organic compounds, so if I decompose them, they could be a good fertilizer. So they actually take it to an anaerobic digester. Remember, anaerobic means without oxygen, and this produces some methane. So they sometimes even use that methane to power the plant, because methane, as you know, is just natural gas. And then the anaerobic digester, then the stuff that comes out of here is a really good like compost or fertilizer, and they'll apply it to farmland as a fertilizer. So that is what can happen with the sludge from secondary treatment. So that's a quick review again of a wastewater treatment plant. WWTP, big idea. You remove TSS and the dissolved organics which we also refer to as the BOD. Thanks.